Have you ever heard the saying, you're missing somebody that you haven't yet met? Well, I've heard it recently, but I've been familiar with this feeling for a very, very long time. So I want to talk about it. Hi, this is Liana, Holistic Intimacy Coach. Welcome back to my channel. Here, I help you get your orgasmic intimacy. Well, let's talk about something else today, such as, what do you do when you're single, man or woman, and you're not meeting somebody that touches your heart and you also touch theirs? So what happens with people that go through this? I'm one of those people also, so far. So this phrase, missing somebody that you haven't yet met, to me, speaks of being lonesome. Okay, you know the song by Elvis Presley? My mom used to play that song when I was a kid. Are you lonesome tonight? So that feeling, that what I physically experience it as is a very heavy hole. Can you believe a hole is heavy in my chest? And it is the worst, in my case, in sunny, peaceful afternoons. Whether it's weekend, usually it's weekend afternoons, that's when it strikes the worst. Sometimes at night, although at night it strikes in a different way, meaning physically lusting for somebody that you haven't yet met. Okay, the body calls for what it needs. However, none of those things have ever pushed me to try again, because I did try it once in my life, to get into a relationship with somebody that feels for me, but I don't feel for them. Okay, so I did this once because I just wasn't finding somebody with whom I had reciprocity. That's my first, I have two standards for relationships. The first one is reciprocity, the most important. And the second one, compatibility, because you also have to function with the person. Compatibility overall, not just in intimacy, but overall. These are very, very high standards in terms of concrete, palpable life on planet Earth. Different discussion on that one. There are not many people that have both of these. Well, let me tell you, there are very few blessed, fortunate people that were graced by life to have reciprocity and compatibility in their relationships. And also support, that would be the third, but that's just, right now I'm just at the first two. When I ever get to the third, sure, I'll talk about that one. So I did try once in my life, in my 20s actually, to get into a relationship with somebody that did like me. He cared for me a lot. Like I could see that, and I appreciated that. And after a long time of me just finding no reciprocity, basically, I told myself maybe I'm just going about it the wrong way. Like I literally thought that I had the wrong strategy to wait for reciprocity. So I entered a relationship with somebody that I saw that loved me. I couldn't offer what that guy needed, and that's when I understood, like from an embodied experience, when one of the two, like when you don't have both people on the same, level of emotional investment. Okay, so reciprocity, it can't happen. It can't happen, or it can't last. If it happens because somebody mentally decides, you know what, I can't find it, so let's try it, but it can't happen. And what happens to the person that loves but is not being loved back, not because they did something wrong, not because the other person did something wrong, it's just you can't force feelings. What happens to them is that they're missing, in the relationship, they're missing somebody that they did meet, but that person didn't feel for them. So that's when I stopped, I stopped all judgment. Because a lot of the times when I was told, when I felt for somebody, I would go and tell them. So I would always get turned down with the line, oh, but you want something serious, and I don't want something serious. And some months later or a year later, I would see them in a committed relationship. I even saw one getting married, then getting a child, and then getting divorced. But that's a different story. So I would always, nobody had the guts to tell me, you know what, I don't feel for you. They would always say, yeah, I see you, you're attractive, but I just don't want something serious, and you apparently want something serious. So I used to judge them because I felt lied. I just didn't know why. Okay, I think it was really harsh to tell somebody, I don't feel for you, although that was the truth. So they would give a different excuse. And I would always, because I felt it, several months later, you see them in a relationship or married or something like that, you feel lied, okay? And I would always judge them. But then I realized, okay, probably they didn't have the strength to tell me, I don't feel for you, so I can't do this. And I wouldn't even blame them for not trying, because you can't force a feeling. And if you try when you don't feel, either one of you, it ends badly. Worse for the person that felt, but was in a relationship where he's or she is missing somebody that they met, but just doesn't respond to them. So I always, when that awful feeling creeps in of missing somebody that I haven't yet met, I always go back to my 20s when I did try it, because I literally thought, in my mid-20s, 26 even, I literally thought that maybe I'm just doing something wrong. Maybe I'm going about it in the wrong way. Maybe love comes after you enter a relationship. That's what I was thinking when I was 26. I lived it on my own. And whenever somebody would tell me, because I just didn't find reciprocity, and people told me that I wanted too much, I told them, you know what, my experience, because I did try, because I also thought maybe I'm going about it the wrong way. I did try. It was awful for me because I just couldn't give. There was no place to give from because I just didn't feel the same. And it was awful for him. I could see it on him. I always go back to that experience and I tell myself, okay, it's no mistake. I'm not entering relationships anymore with people that I don't feel for. And I certainly don't expect somebody to owe me a relationship when they don't feel anything for me. Not even when they feel something for me. I don't expect anybody to owe me anything. Okay, I worked that one out a long time ago. We don't owe people relationships. But when I get that heavy, empty feeling, or heavy hole inside my chest, when I'm missing somebody that I haven't met, I always go back to remember what it was like when it wasn't reciprocated. Okay? So if you ever have this longing for somebody that you haven't yet met, I don't know if your embodied experience, through life, has ever showed you that if one of the two doesn't feel, the relationship is pretty much painful, hard, a chore for one of the people that doesn't feel, and a big chore, too big, too early, that there's something there that is missing. So they feel like they have to compensate up to a point where they just can't. Okay, because you can't give to replace something that you don't naturally feel. And I also remember how painful it was for him. Okay, so let's say that I were to meet somebody and fall in love with them head over heels. If the person wouldn't respond, I wouldn't go into a relationship, because I've seen close by what it means. So that's that's the peace, at least, that my life gave me so far. I know many people are single. Okay, there are many people like me on the planet that are missing somebody that they haven't yet met. And I see a lot of the videos where people just put it down on poor judgment or poor choice or poor decision-making skills and so on. I think it's more than just that. We gotta touch one another's heart. If that doesn't happen, the relationship, it's a formality. Now, some people are okay with formalities. Okay, I've seen a lot of women getting married for a formality. I've also seen people rushing in and marrying somebody that, looked great, looked like what their image was of a husband or of a wife, but they didn't actually feel like there was no deep, long-term, there wasn't that feeling that this is the one. I do remember what it was like when I'm one of those four or five, I don't remember, when I felt for those guys. Okay, the stuff that I never told them. There was never room to tell them, and I wouldn't just blurt it out like that, this is how I feel. No. But what I felt, what I saw when I looked at them, what those people inspired and awakened in me, you can't fake that. You can't force that to happen. It either happens or it doesn't. So I know that a lot of people think that maybe they decided something wrong, maybe their values are wrong or something. No. It's a poor choice when you see that there's a problem there, or even if you don't realize the problem, you can still feel it in your heart, but you still decide to go forward without addressing it, at least. I think that's where the poor decision skills are when it comes to getting into intimate relationships. That's my assessment. So what do I do basically when that lonesome, heavy hole in my chest strikes? Number one, it's what I feel when it comes to at least my life. However long it takes, I know that there's somebody out there for me. I've always known that. Even if it's been 40 years and I haven't met this person, I've heard a lot of people that went through this. So, throughout the years, I've started looking into this, and not everybody meets their beloved when they're 20 or 30, sometimes not even when they're 40. That doesn't mean that I don't meet somebody eventually. Okay, so first and foremost, I have this faith. I am going to meet somebody. Apparently, it's taking a bit longer for me. Okay, got it. Roger that. I'm holding the line. Okay, there was a song by Toto, I don't know how you pronounce it in English, Toto, that's how we say Romanian. Hold the line, love isn't always on time. It's a song from the 80s, I think, or the 70s. I'm not sure when it came out, but hold the line, love isn't always on time. Since I heard that, because I've heard it somewhere down the line, I remember that one. So that's one thing. Then what I also do is work it out. I'm like, okay, do I have energy to do a practice or something? Because you got to understand that empty, heavy hole, heavy emptiness in your chest, it's not exactly healthy for your body. So it somehow needs to be processed. But in order to process that the way I know how to, so with somatic practices, you got to have some energy. Okay? Sometimes if you're not, like, nobody can help you in those moments, if you're alone, then you need to put in a bit more effort. Sometimes I don't have that energy. I'm also human. So sometimes what I do, I lie in bed. Okay, I go lie down, and because that feeling can also really exhaust me. So I go and take a short nap. If it's the weekend and if it's in the afternoon, like that's when it strikes, I lie down. When it strikes me at night, and it's that lust basically for somebody that I haven't yet met, I actually let that one play out. I know it's not healthy. That is unhealthy desire, basically. So I understand it's not healthy. Somebody would tell me, yeah, you got to do something for it or about it. Well, it usually strikes at night. I'm really tired, like I'm half asleep, basically. So there's not much I can do. So I just let it play out. And whatever comes to my mind, whatever the heck I feel like doing, I just do it. Okay? No judgment there, honestly. But in the daytime, I either go for a nap, or if I have at least a bit of energy, I will do huge anti-inflammatory breaths. I have them in my community. Basically, I breathe in super heavy, like super, 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 super heavy. Like I inflate myself like a balloon fish, basically. And I do at least 10 of those. If I'm good after those 10, I usually do 10 more, because when you start to feel lighter, you get more energy. So I do, based on how much energy I get, I do 10 more, 20 more, 30 more. But if I don't have much energy, I just strive for 10 big or huge breaths. And then I usually fall asleep. Whenever something's like super nasty, like, I don't know, I see something that really triggers the lonesome part of me, then, like, if it's nasty, usually it's not just a heaviness, it usually hurts. It's like a knife. Then I go for breath work. Okay, I got a playlist that I usually play for my coachees in sessions. I play it for me. I lie down on my yoga mat, put a cover on, and I do breath work. Sometimes, because I've also done that, I've taken my cell phone, this one, the one that I'm recording with right now, and I've recorded, like I put it next to me on the yoga mattress or the bed, wherever I would do the breath work, and I recorded it. And I would always start with, okay guys, I'm going through something really nasty, I gotta process it, and I want to take you along with me. And then I start explaining the technique. Usually we're gonna go for a few light breaths just to get into it. And then I do, after a few minutes, I do reps of 10 or of 20 big breaths. And they can hear me breathing. And I usually strive for it, because if it's nasty, like, a knife from my chest, if it's nasty, I go for at least 10 sets, each set having 20 huge breathing through the mouth, basically, not just the nose, okay, mouth. And that usually lasts somewhere between 20, 25 to 30 minutes. And it lasts around 30 minutes because after I do those 10 sets of 20, because I'm a big coach, I go for bonuses. I'm like, you know what, guys? I put that in the recording. Let's go for one more set. And then I say, and then freestyle, how many you want to do now? And then I just go without counting. And I usually end up doing a practice of 30 minutes or so. I also feel like a baby. And it's amazing. Like my face is lit up. Whenever I can stand, because it takes a while for me to stand, and I go and I look in the mirror, my face is, I don't know, prettier. It looks more like that of a baby. Just a lot of oxygen into your body. It's a beauty routine, beauty care routine, basically. So yeah, this is how I work it out. But that's based on how much energy and how nasty that feeling of missing somebody that I haven't met is. Because sometimes, like I said, it all goes down to, I know sometime in my life I will meet this person. And then either I go to bed if I'm very, very tired, like if I just don't have energy, or I go for just 10 breaths, or maybe 20, 30, 40. Or if it's nasty, it's big, and I've got a bit of energy, I go for that 30-minute breath work. And I've got a few that I've recorded into my community right in those moments. because I knew I'm not the only one going through that. And I told myself, what better way to be there for people if not record it when I'm going through that shit? Okay? Yeah, there aren't many people that can do those very long breathwork practices, but if they did, boy, it gives you more hope, okay? And it totally, you don't go into that negative spiral, I think. You don't eat crap, you don't do something stupid, like none of that. You just purge that emotion and you get yourself into a superb, I'm going to say this in Romanian, superb place. When you're going to meet that special someone of yours, you're going to be such a beautiful person, okay, inside, because please believe me, it does matter. The way you are, what kind of space you build for the other person, what kind of an inspiration you are to them, all of these things matter. And we can't, let me tell you, we can't give this to everybody around us, okay? To all our acquaintances or all our friends or all our relatives, okay? That takes a lot of energy. So we can only do that for a very small number of people. I think our life partner is one of the people that deserves that. Probably next to our parents or whoever took care of us, okay? Our children, if we're parents ourselves. I think those are the people that do deserve that. That's why I do the work that I do. And this is what also gives me hope, when I'm in those moments where I'm missing somebody that I haven't yet met. Drop me a comment if you're going through this, or if you know somebody that goes through this, share it with them. Maybe it will inspire them in any way. And remember that if you haven't yet met somebody that wakes you inside and you wake them up inside, make them feel alive, they make you feel alive. If you haven't met somebody like that, it's not always, it depends on you and your life, okay? But it's not always necessary to enter relationships with people that you don't have feelings for, empty relationships, thinking that you gotta be in a relationship, okay? This is my take on it. At least that's how I go about it. And I can do that because I have faith that I will eventually meet the right person. And I got a few resources when the heavy feelings strike. Okay? And you can do that too. I'm not a superhuman. Please believe me. I got tons of flaws. Everybody can do this with a bit of faith and a little bit of inspiration from somebody. Okay? And if you want to check out my community, it's under the video. There you can see the practices, even those long breathwork practices. Okay. I wish you a beautiful life, and I hope that you too have faith that you will meet your special person.